Hello everybody, I'm John Burke. So nice to see you. Now joining me today is a gentleman who is the founder and the president of Aerlex Law Group. It's a boutique aviation law firm that represents clients all over the world, but they're based out of Los Angeles, California. They are one of the top aviation law firms on the planet, and this gentleman has been named a Southern California super lawyer for the last consecutive 11 years. He has represented some very high-profile people, including Harrison Ford, when he went through his aviation mishap just a few years ago. Please welcome Stephen Hofer. Stephen, nice to see you.
John, very nice to see you, and thanks for coming out to the airport to see us.
Tell me about aviation law. Are there many lawyers out there doing this?
It's a definite specialty. There are probably only about maybe 100 lawyers in the United States that do what we do at the level that we do it. It's a very sophisticated practice. We deal with aircraft acquisitions. We're helping people to buy and sell airplanes. We're helping them deal with management companies. We're helping them deal with aviation insurance. If they've got tax issues, and tax is a big aspect of aviation, at the state, local, and federal levels. So you've got to have a lot of knowledge to do the sort of thing that we do. If you don't do it right, you can cost a client thousands or even millions of dollars.
Because in short, it sounds like it could be complicated. I want to buy a jet. I want to buy an aircraft. Do I need a lot of knowledge to do that?
Absolutely. It takes a team of experts to support people, especially when you talk about the types of airplanes that we're dealing with today. You can buy an airplane, a smaller airplane, for maybe $500,000, $600,000, $800,000, $1 million. But if you're talking about one of your big private jets, you're talking about a $75, $80 million investment at the top end. And so you've got to know what you're doing. We assemble a team to support people when they buy airplanes. I have a skilled team of aviation lawyers who work in my firm, but we'll look for brokers who know the aviation market, who can fit the airplane to the client, to their specific needs. We look for CPAs who understand the aviation world. We look for aviation insurance brokers who understand what clients' needs, who can be helpful if a claim ever arises. We look for management companies who can provide the service that's needed. We look for people who can help at the pilot and crew service level. And lastly, when you buy an airplane, you're going to want to do a very careful pre-purchase inspection. You're going to want to look at the aircraft inside and out. You're going to want to look at the logbooks and records. So you want somebody with really sophisticated technical knowledge. It takes a team to buy a private airplane.
Wow, that is, you just opened up a window into things I had never considered. Let's talk about safety, because when a lot of people think about private aircraft, safety comes to mind. How does that affect what you do?
Well, the good news is private aviation is probably one of the safest ways to travel. Most management companies that we deal with have a perfect safety record. It equals or exceeds any airline. But of course accidents can still happen, so you've got to be very conscious about aviation safety. One of the things that I think sets Aerlex apart is because we come out of an aviation insurance background. We've spent our entire career looking at the things that can go wrong. And so one of the things that I always tell people when we're helping them buy an airplane is, what about the management company? What about the crew? You need the safest possible company you can have. You want a crew that can make certain that they can get you in and out of any situation. You want to fly safe. And here's another thing you need to be thoughtful about. That management company needs to have an emergency response plan in place. John, you would be shocked. I've had at least 5 or 6 times in my 40-year career in aviation law when people have called me up and said, our airplane just crashed, what do we do? So what I counsel people is, have an emergency response plan in place. And every person in your organization who might touch that airplane in any way has got to know what to do if the unthinkable happens.
A Southern California super lawyer. That sounds pretty impressive. How do you become one of those?
Well, you get selected. The worldwide company, Thomson Reuters, makes those selections every year. They have a very strict series of criteria that they apply. It's peer review. Your peers have to recommend you, but they also do a lot of evaluation of what your record is. They look at what your reputation is in the larger aviation, in the larger legal community. There are about 105,000 lawyers in the 8-county area that surrounds Los Angeles. About 3,000 of those lawyers each year get selected as super lawyers. Of those 3,000, only about 200 of them have ever been selected more than 10 consecutive years, and I'm one of those guys. So 200 out of 105,000, not bad.
Not bad at all. You know, when I was reading about you, some words kept coming up. It was always trustworthy, great negotiator, doesn't over-negotiate. I like working with him. How does that feel to you when I say these words precede you?
I grew up in Indiana, and I still carry a lot of those Midwestern roots with me. I moved out to California 40 years ago to practice law. I had a background in journalism, and I always felt that journalism was a profession that demanded integrity and ethics. When I was a little boy, I looked up to lawyers, and I wanted to be someone who people respected, who they believed in, who they trusted. And that's what I try and bring to my legal practice. Whether I was doing aviation or any other type of law, that's what I would want to do. I would want to be somebody who people could trust and respect and believe that they were committed to what was best for their clients and would work as hard as they possibly could to make that happen.
Well, I'm going to add another word just to my own, and I'll tell you, it comes from me, passionate. It has been an absolute joy talking to you today, Stephen.
Thanks you, John. Thanks for coming out.
You know, one of my great joys in life is hanging out with really smart people and learning a lot of new information, and I did that today. I learned that if you're going to buy an airplane, you're going to have to know why you want that airplane. And then you're going to have to find a great aviation team and a great aviation lawyer. I'm John Burke. I'll see you up the road.